Investigator David Marshburn worked for Faith's family. He took a closer look at Faith's social circles and has a strong theory about what happened that night.
I strongly feel the person that's responsible was at this apartment complex and knew the two females upstairs, our victim and Karina. I feel the person best fits my person of interest is Eric Takoya Jones.
Who is he?
That is Karina's ex-boyfriend.
All right, so he wasn't directly related to Faith. He's directly related to Karina.
Boyfriend, girlfriend, yes. You know, Takoya showed violence towards her and kicked in the door.
He kicked in Karina's door?
Right.
What else can you tell us about Eric?
Eric did a very strange thing. He posted that, you know, please, Lord, forgive him for what he's about to do or has done, his sins.
Well, when was it in relation to Faith's death?
Within 24 hours.
That's an odd thing to post at any time, but the fact that it was posted the same day as Faith's murder brings it to a whole nother level. Eric Takoya Jones sounds like someone we need to look into.
That's Eric right there. That's his mugshot from a possession of marijuana charge. But that's not my issue with Eric. He also has a history of violence with women. Here's a restraining order filed July 11th, 2 months before Faith's murder. And who's it filled out by? Karina Rosario, Faith's roommate.
Records also show that Eric Takoya Jones lived in the same apartment complex as Karina.
It's the address they were living in when the murder happened.
Exactly. But she gets more descriptive. Obviously, there has to be some type of affidavit to explain why she's in fear of Eric. Here's what she had to say. Why don't you take a look at that?
July 10th, 2012. Eric breaks into my apartment after I'd just gotten my locks changed at around 7:30 p.m. July 5th, 2012, Eric comes into apartment and breaks my bedroom door to enter. He verbally fights with me, and when I threaten to call police, takes my phone. He breaks my bathroom and closet door as well when I tried to get away. He pushes me onto the floor. Violent guy. What we have here is evidence that Eric, who was Karina's boyfriend at the time, breaking into the bedroom where the homicide takes place.
Before we get too deep into that, I think we should talk about Faith's autopsy because I have Dr. Sarah Wecht coming up on Skype in about 15 minutes.
I'll tell you what, when I look at this, I see evidence of a significant struggle, what appear to be defensive wounds on her hands, even her arms, and just brutalization around her eyes. I mean, it looks like there was quite a battle and an attempt to defend herself.
But there's also some more detail in regards to the head injuries. As you can see, that's the right side of her head. She has a severe laceration behind her right ear, and that appears to be the fatal wound. She also has multiple lacerations and a huge indentation to the front of her forehead. Again, she was beaten severely.
Greetings, Dr. Wecht.
Hello, hi, how are you?
Well, thank you. Thank you for meeting with us again, and we value your input. And the biggest general question we have is, what does it look like happened to you from your overall analysis of this autopsy?
Oh, this young 19-year-old woman was severely beaten. There could be no question about that. There were lacerations, contusions, abrasions all over the scalp and the face, as well as on various other parts of the body. The pathologist says, and I'll just read you the one sentence, quote, "There is no gross trauma to the external genitalia, vagina or cervix on external examination with a vaginal speculum."
What you're saying is, although the victim was found with her pants off and it appeared to have been some type of sexual assault, there's a strong possibility that she wasn't sexually assaulted at all before her homicide.
Well, that's right. There's no basis at all that there had been sexual assault.
To be honest, I'm pretty shocked by this, considering the way Faith was found. Chapel Hill police said DNA was collected from the crime scene, but kept it vague. If semen was found inside of Faith, it would have said so in the autopsy report, and it doesn't.
Listen, there could be an innocent explanation for why Faith was found half-dressed. But considering all the circumstances, the violent beating, her being half naked, her shirt being pulled over her face, I can't help but wonder if someone staged the scene to make it look like a sexual assault.
What might have inflicted these injuries I am told and have been given a photo of a Bacardi peach red rum bottle. In order for fractures to occur of the skull and facial bones, there would have had to have been a breakage of glass, unless this is a very special, extremely thick bottle.
In your opinion, could all the damage that you observed in the autopsy report been inflicted by one person, or do you believe it was multiple people?
All of these injuries could have been inflicted by one person. There's another point to be made. These injuries on the face obviously indicate multiple strikes. That doesn't mean more than one person, but it does mean someone who was very vicious. These are repeated blows. Somebody was very angry. This usually argues for someone who knew her. It doesn't eliminate a stranger, but it's more frequently seen in a situation in which there is this kind of interpersonal relationship, one of animosity, jealousy, of anger, of frustration.
Daughter Faith was murdered back in 2012 in her friend's apartment. Roland told us that he was familiar with the two women who at one time lived with Faith, Karina Rosario and Kara Dixon. Kara no longer lives in Chapel Hill, but has agreed to video conference with us here today so we can find out more about Faith.
Me and Faith were freshmen at Chapel Hill, and she lived in the same building, same dorm as me, Hilton James. We met my freshman year. Right when we met, we clicked. She was just awesome. She was a very loving person, and she was genuine, very genuine. She was the sweetest person you'd ever meet. She loved to cook. She loved to clean. She loved to help. Everything. I just don't understand why this happened, but she was just an awesome person. We lived together for 6 months, I believe.
Anybody else live with you, or just you two?
Karina lived with us as well.
Karina Rosario.
Yes. Before I moved out, they both had like living boyfriends though. Karina was with Takoy.
You're talking about Eric Takoy Jones, right?
Yes.
Okay.
And Faith was with her high school sweetheart, Alex.
When Faith was still talking to her boyfriend back home, Alex, was she also in a relationship with an individual by the name of Ty Michael McNeil?
Yes. I mean, she was on and off with both of them. And sometimes she was on with both of them. With Ty, there was always drama.
What kind of drama?
He was protective over her. I can recall an instance where I think we were all at a party and I had left, and I ended up going to one of our friends' rooms, one of our mutual friends' rooms in Hilton James, and I went to sleep. And then at like 3 o'clock in the morning, somebody walks in and flips the lights on, and it's him, and he pulls the covers back because he thought I was Faith. And then he was like, "Where's Faith?" And I'm like, "I'm not sure." He had obsessive behavior when it came to her. If she didn't pick up the phone, or if nobody knew where she was, it just became kind of obsessive. Like, I mean, he always was looking for her. Always.
Always looking for her. Let me fast track this to the night of September 6, 2012. Ty sent a text to Faith. It was earlier in the evening before they went out to the nightclub. It basically said, "Are we going to get together tonight?" or something like that. No response from Faith.
If Faith did not respond, he would have either kept calling, or he would have came to where she was. And it wasn't like that all the time, but more times than I can remember, good. You know, it was drama. And me and several of her other friends were like, "Hey, you know, it's not healthy, you know? You're a freshman in college, you shouldn't be having to deal with a protective boyfriend, or you shouldn't even be in a relationship at all right now, because you're just, you know, you're at school like over 30-something thousand people, you know? It just wasn't healthy."
Did you ever hear from Faith directly or through her friends that Ty was violent with her?
Now, I know that he has grabbed her, pushed her into a wall. She told me that.
What do you think happened to Faith that night? What's your theory?
I really can't grasp a theory. But from what I understood that happened, the person knew her, definitely. This was not a random act. The person knew her. Somebody was pissed at her. It could have been a close friend. It could have been a close, intimate friend. But they didn't like what was going on. And they weren't getting what they wanted. And for you to do that to a person, you're angry. It's something inside of you. It's deep. It is really deep.
I tell you, Chris, it's not looking too good for Ty.
Well, he wasn't completely forthright, some omissions, some minimization. I'm not surprised. Trying to rehab himself after what we just heard in there, but it doesn't mean he did anything.
He said he did acknowledge that he was on and off with Faith for almost 2 years. That Faith's father, Roland, would know about it. I say we call him and see what he knows about Ty.
Bounce it off him.
Roland, we have a couple questions about a particular individual, and we're hoping you can maybe help us out with it.
Okay, go ahead. I'll see if I can.
Does the name Ty Michael McNeil sound familiar to you?
Yes, I'm familiar with Ty. I know him.
What do you know about him?
He was someone who Faith had dated.
Father to father, what was your vibe on him when you met him?
When I met him, well, he seemed like an okay guy. I mean, he was very respectful and stuff. Of course, there was my baby girl, and
Issues that you were aware of?
I wasn't aware of it when it happened. I was told after her death that they had argued, or he had perhaps put some bruises on her.
So you never saw the bruises personally, but you heard it from someone?
Yes.
Do you know if Faith ever officially broke it off with Ty? Was there a point where you no longer heard his name being mentioned by her and that she had kind of moved on to someone else?
I don't know any particular official point. From what I understand, they were kind of in and out, off and on. And I'm thinking it was possibly Farina Rosario that told me that Ty was always trying to get back with Faith. Okay.
Have you had a chance to read the text message that was sent at 3:50?
Yes, I have.
Did you notice anything, in your opinion, knowing your daughter probably better than anyone, that stood out to you as something Faith wouldn't say or the way she wouldn't type it? Because I'm sure you exchanged numerous text messages with her throughout the years.
In this particular text message, it starts out, I know you're probably sleeping. And the word "your" is spelled Y-O-U-R-E without an apostrophe. And, you know, I look back through all my text messages, and because that was something every time she sent me a text message, it had the apostrophe in it, okay? She was very particular about her punctuation.
Just to play devil's advocate, I mean, would you at least agree that there is a possibility, if Faith had sent that text message, if she sent it out quicker than normal, or maybe had a drink or two, that she might have forgot the apostrophe?
Well, there's always that possibility, okay? I've never ruled that out. It just didn't seem, you know, based on what I had seen.
Coming up.
Would you say you were in fear of him?
I did get afraid. He's like banging on the door, like, let me in.
And later.
Half of that could actually cause the skull to fracture.